Yo, what's up guys? Bill here, Classic Rock and Metal Review, here to review the recent Graham Nash concert. Just saw this one last week, August 8th, 2022. This was at the Ocean City Music Pier, once again. Ocean City, New Jersey, and an awesome show it was. Get into the set list in a few minutes. I'll describe the show to you. Got a bunch of pictures, got a little bit of video I had to sneak. Anyway, if you guys can like and subscribe, we do reviews of collectors, CDs, DVDs, and some generally released things also, but try to stick to collectibles that are kind of rare. And also do, like I said, concert reviews. So like I said, here comes one. Graham Nash, of course. Born in 1942 in Blackpool, England. Member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Was in the Hollies back in the early to mid 60s. Then formed Crosby, Stills and Nash with David Crosby, Stephen Stills. Of course, they added Neil Young later on. Graham has done some solo albums. He's also worked with David Crosby quite a bit as Crosby Nash, among many other one-off things he's done. He was the founder or one of the founders of the Muse Foundation that does works for basically anti-nuclear. Did a bunch of concerts in New York in 1979, Muse concerts, also known as No Nukes concerts. Anyway, so Graham's on his 2022 tour. I know this tour might have some makeup dates from COVID cancellations in the last year or so. This was not one of them. This was just a date on his tour. And it looks like the last date for a month or two. He does got some more shows coming up, September, October. Highly recommend seeing him. Ocean City Music Pier is an awesome venue, right on the boardwalk, a pier out into the ocean. So it's actually cool for the artist. The stage faces the water. Graham's with two musicians he's been working with recently. Shane Fontaine, guitarist, played a handful of different guitars, just more or less to add some ambiance as much as guitar playing, just sort of there as just filling out the sound. And he's also got a Todd Caldwell on piano and keyboards. Graham plays acoustic most of the night and also does do some stand-up piano too on a handful of songs. So I was a little disappointed when I first got there and didn't see that it was a full band. Hadn't read any reviews or anything. But you know what? Didn't matter. Everything sounded amazing. It was probably better that way in hindsight because you really got to hear his vocals clear. Voice sounds great still. Other guys did some background vocals, but even when all three were singing, you still heard Graham the clearest. Great sound there at this theater. I have to admit that this was not a show that I just immediately bought a ticket for. If there's an artist that I definitely want to see live, the last thing I want to do is look at the set list because I don't want to know what's coming. I want to be surprised when I get there. But this was a concert where I wasn't sure I wanted to go. The last time I saw Graham live was with David, so it's going to be solo. I have to admit I snuck a look at his set list for the tour to see if he was going to play a handful of songs I really wanted to hear. And man, this is a 20-song set list. This might be a little different than the one I looked up months and months ago, but it was solid. So glad I went. Playing a lot of stuff from all over his career. So let's go down the set list. Wasted on the Way was the opener. Great one from Daylight Again. And there was 3 or 4 songs they could have played from that album that I love. Then on to some Hollies. Bus Stop was great. Marrakesh Express, CSN. And another CSN song. I'm not too familiar with this one. I've heard it probably more live and on video than anywhere else. Right Between the Eyes. And also Lady of the Island. Everything sounds awesome. Like I said, those 3 guys just had a full, warm sound going on. And Graham, it was truly an intimate evening. When you see that, does it even mean anything? Half the time I don't feel like it does. In this case, Graham took the time to tell short little 1 to 3 minute stories between like 12 of these songs, and every story was interesting and kind of funny at the same time. And I don't think I heard any of these stories before, so it's not like I haven't read like anything, biographies or anything about Graham or by Graham. So I don't know the details of the stories behind these songs. He was doing that all night long, and it was awesome. It kept people laughing. He always mentioned what drug he was on at the time. Great stories. It really was truly an intimate evening with Graham Nash. I have to tell you, this one lived up to the moniker. So then he does a little anti-war, if you want to call it, duo of songs. Find the Cost of Freedom, which of course in this setting sounded great. Military Madness comes up next. Cool one. Then On the Wind on the Water. Just classic song. I've always loved that since the first time I heard it. Then he does Beatles song, A Day in the Life. I'm not the hugest Beatles fan. Of course, who doesn't love that song, right? But you know what? It was fine. Love the One You're With. He does Stephen Still's solo song. That was kind of cool. I'm not the biggest fan of that song either, honestly. Crowd loved it. Then he does Simple Man, which I think's from his first solo album. I've heard that one plenty of times. I feel like I've heard him play that the other couple times I've seen him. Also saw him besides, I think it was 2008 with Crosby. Saw him 1991 with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. So I think he played it there too. Then he plays a new song called Golden Days. Decent enough. Then back to the acoustic, solo acoustic actually with this one. He plays 4 and 20, another Stills song. Told us about how that one came about. That was really cool. I'm not going to repeat any of these stories he told, or maybe one or two. But I think that one he just said that, Stills woke up one day and said, "Yeah, I wrote this song last night," and played that. And he's like, he just told Steven, like, that song's amazing. Just like a random little. That was one of the quick stories. Then, oh man, this one just was amazing. Plays Country Girl, which of course is Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Kind of consider it more like a Neil song, since Neil sings it. But man, he sounded awesome. The band, the three-piece band, sounded great. This was the best song of the night to me. Faithful to the full version and everything. Killer. This concert's just awesome right now at this point. Cathedral told us a great story about that, how he was tripping at Stonehenge and he wandered into like some military cemetery or some sort of cemetery, and he woke up next to the grave of a soldier who was born and died on his birthday, and the birthday was Graham's. Like, I always heard those lyrics, but I never fully understood what it meant. It was the same birthday as Graham Nash's birthday, so just that was cool. Then he tells it. I'm going to tell you one last story because I'll save the rest for if you go to the show. But he was waiting at a friend's house, killing time in Hawaii before his plane left to take him back to the UK or the US, wherever he was headed. And the friend just said, "I'll bet you $500 you can't write a song just before you go." So he writes the song, "Just a Song Before I Go." How killer is that? He also, I won't even give you the full story, but basically the guy didn't pay him then, and his family paid Graham the $500 later on, I think maybe like 10 or 15 years ago when the guy had passed. At some point the guy passed away, and the family somehow knew the guy never paid him back and paid Graham back. There's so many stories like this. All night long it was going on. It was great. Then, of course, tells the story about Our House, plays an awesome version of Our House, plays Chicago, We Can Change the World. Then he does an interesting finale, cover of Buddy Holly's Every Day. I think it was just Graham on acoustic, and the three guys were together at the same microphone, so like harmonizing. That was somewhat interesting. I love Buddy Holly, but just like A Day in the Life, there was a couple other songs I would have rather heard by Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but you know what? 20 songs, solid set list, great performance. Hearing all the stories along with it was amazing for me because I hadn't heard hardly any of them. And then the finale is Teach Your Children. Great show. I don't know if it could have been much better, honestly. It was awesome. He sounds great. He's 80 years old. My goodness, man. Living legend to me. How else can you put it? Involved in all these amazing songs, all these years. So if you like Graham Nash, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, head on. He's got some dates coming up in a couple weeks and then into the fall. It's an awesome show. If you don't know much about the stories behind the songs, he's going to tell a lot of them to you. And man, they're great. Interesting, funny, all at once. All right, guys, that'll do it. Graham Nash, August 8th, 2022, Ocean City Music Pier. If you guys are new to the channel, maybe you can subscribe. That would be amazing. All right, man, everyone have a good day. Catch you later.